Hey guys, I am Nishant and welcome to Cybernetico. So in this video, we will learn how to create this custom inputs in React. What I mean is when we click text input, input of text area, input of text will appear here. If we click number input, input of number should appear here, and same way the color input. So you can add other inputs like file inputs, what else, checkboxes, redo buttons and all. But to show you just the demo, I have just used three inputs: text, number and color. So first of all, what we need to do is get the data from the checkboxes when we check them. So let me create a function here called check, handle check boxes. Okay, now we have to pass this function to the inputs component. Also, we have two components here, input and output. So whatever we check in the input should appear in the output, which is this component. Now we have passed it, so this will take a parameter called event, and we have to pass arguments from here. So let me get handle checkboxes, and on change of the input checkbox, we will call this function like this, simple. So do it here and here as well. Save them. Save here as well. But before saving, let me disconnect the value and the name from the event.target. So say name and value equals to event.target. Now let me just see in the console what we are getting. The value and the name. So we can make a curly bracket, then we can say name and value. Now this way we will get an object because it's a key value pair thing. Now let me open the inspect element here, console. So let me remove this, check text input, and we are getting the name and the value. Number input, we are getting this, but we only need the value, not the name. So remove the name from here and the name from here as well. Just leave it the value, leave the value. Okay, so we can save this, and what else do we need is to create one state. So say const, say check, or say not checkbox value, say input value, set input value, so equals to use state. Okay, state, let's say an array like this. Now in this set input value, we will set it like this. In the input value we will set using this. Okay, one more thing, let me also get one thing called checked like this. And yes, checked we have here. So we will also have a check. So if checked is true, it means our input has been checked. So in this case, we will set it like this, but we also need to set the previous value. So as this is an array. Okay, we have to remove this. So it's an array. So make it an array like this. So we have to append our input value and the new value. Oh, wait, what happened? Input value with the new value, which is this value coming from event or target. Else, if it is not checked, we will do something like this. So we will have to remove the item from this. So we can say, okay, so we are having the value, so we have to filter which value to remove. So we will do input value dot filter. This will take, let's say, input, and then we will check if the input that we are having is not equal to the value. It means we have to remove this value if it does not match, if it does not match. So it removes like this, and then we have to update our state like this. Yes, do this. Now we can copy the input value state and check it in the console. Now let me come over here, and something is wrong. Let me check. Okay, input value is not defined. Okay, but we are defining it. use state. Okay, what's the problem? Where line number 18? Okay, what is wrong here? I think should be wrong. Let me give it a refresh first. Hmm. Okay, sorry. We have added it in the function. This should be outside the function. Yes, now it will work. Now the array is empty. Click text input. The data is here. Click number input. It's also here. But if we uncheck number input, it will go away from this array. Click color input and it's getting stored. Check it again. Uncheck it. It will be removed. So we have this. Okay. Now we need an array, one more array we need for the output. So say const output values set output values equals to use state an array. It will be an array object. So in this array object, we have to store a few things. For example, okay, so I have to store 3 inputs. But first, let me show you how to do that. First, we will have a value of the input. Let's say name. So let's say the name will be the same name that we have in the input. So this would be called as text input. Text input. So if the names are not matching in this name and in the input name, it will not work. Then let's say field. So in this we will need an input field. So we can say input like this. Let me add a name here. Let's say text input like this. Now you can save this. Okay, one sec. I think we don't need this. So remove it. Or maybe let me leave it and let's see what can we do. Okay. Now let me repeat it 3 times. Also we have to add type as text because it's a text input. This will be called as a number input. Let me also change the name here and here as well. The third one will be called as color input. So change it here as well. The type will be color. Save. Now we have to pass this output values to this output component like this. Now come to output component. Let me structure these things here and we can simply map in this div. So we can say output values dot map. Say output. Okay, we only need to show the field. So say return. Let's say what we can return. Okay, just return the output dot field. So output dot field. Now save this and now let's check in the Chrome. So we are having these items. So it's not properly visible. So one is text input, one is number input, and the last one is color input, as you see here. Okay, so it's not properly visible. So let me make them. So let's say inputs output container. So I have added inputs here because of the border that we have. So we will change it. So let me just copy this and come over to app.css. Let me style it a little bit. So the output container, let me have these items here like display flex, all these items. Now okay, it's breaking, so I guess we don't need, I only need these items. Yes, also one more thing we need is flex direction as column. Just save. Yes, it's perfect. Not perfect, but it's fine. Okay, let me do one thing. Let me wrap this in a div. Okay, first let me, okay, what happened? So let me cut this and say a div. In this div, let's add this Let me add one more thing called label for the input label. So we can say output dot, so come to app.jsx, we have the name. So also let me add one more thing called label. So this will be called as text input. The same way we can repeat it here as well, and here this will be known as number, and here it will be called as color input. So we can say label, I mean input dot field, okay, not field, sorry, label, to use the label that we have. Now label will be here, okay, fine, but still it looks not perfect, not better. So we can make gap of 20 px here and see what happens. I think that looks fine now. Okay, leave it. So we don't need border here. I mean, copy the border and paste it here. Then remove the inputs from here and save. And okay, it shrinks. Okay, leave it. I think it's just for demonstration. We can say text input, number input, and color input. Okay, let me give this div a class name of, let's say, output inner. So in the output inner, let's also add some stylings just to look it a little bit better. So display of flex, gap 20 px, save, and yes, it looks better now. So now what should happen is when we click the inputs like text input, number input, color input, these should appear and disappear. We don't need the console, so close it. Okay, now what we have to do is, so we have to pass, okay, not pass, okay, when we're checking the inputs like this, they should appear and disappear, correct? Okay, so in the set input values, I mean, yes, in this, let me create one use effect hook. And this use effect hook will run, I mean, it will run, yes, when our input value changes. So where is the inputs? Input value, I mean, this array changes. So just simply add it here. And in this input, in this use effect hook, we will filter through the output values. Like this. So output values dot filter, then we will check if the output of this is inside this input values, only then show them. So we'll show input values dot include this output dot field, no, not field, let's say this value, name, not, yes, say name here. Now if it is existing inside, only then set it inside this set output values. Now paste it here. Now let's check. Let me refresh the page. Okay, we see nothing here. Click text input. Okay, nothing is happening. Okay, the thing is, we are storing the value, not the name, I mean in the input values. So we have to make this as label, because basically it's the same thing. So let me bring it back and just make output dot label. Now it will work, as you see. Let me refresh the page. Click text input. Yes, we have text input here, only this. Number input, click it. Yes, we have this. Now let's set it again in the set output values, like this. Now save, and now let me close the console and refresh the page. Click text input. Okay, again it's not happening. Okay, maybe we have to not set it inside, we have to set it somewhere else, I mean one more state. So let me create it. So say const field values set field values equals to use state and array. So replace this to set field values and Then remove this check, remove these three dots and say set, not set field values, field values. Where is it? What I am doing? Field values. Set it here. Okay, save. Something is wrong. It says red. Okay, what is the problem? Invalid character. Oh. Okay, this should be field values. Give it a comma here and here as well. Yes, now the error is gone. We don't see it. How to collapse this? Yes, close this. Now save. So we have to console the field values here, not output values. Now let me refresh the page. So we have to restructure this as well, I guess. Yes, now it will work. So clear the console, click text input. So we're getting this array here with empty value and the name. Okay, maybe we don't need this. Yes, now click text input. We are getting an array with this. Click number input. We are getting the array with 2 items, and if we uncheck it, that item will disappear. Yes. So if we are doing this, we don't need to do this structure, spread it, and then we can simply do this to simplify things. Now we have to pass the field values here as output values. Now if you refresh the page, check the text input. You will see text input here. Check number input. Number input will be here. Color input will be here if you check it. Fine. Now the thing is, we can remove the output field from here. Let me comment it out. Or basically, let me just console it here. So we can select this and console.log this. Now open the console. So we are getting an object here in this place, which contains the props, the type and the number inside it. Okay. Now what we have to do is, what can we do? Yes. So make an input here. And instead of adding direct input, output.field, we can simply do, this input. So let's say the name will be equal to output dot field. What happened? What's the problem here? Output dot field dot props dot name. So that will be the name of the input. Okay, the next thing is we need is the type. So here set type. This will be equal to output. Say the same thing we have to repeat. So copy this, paste it here, and replace the name with the type that we have in props. Now save this. Let me refresh the page. So it will also work. We see nothing. Click text input. We will have a text input. Number input will be here. Color input will be here if you click it. If you uncheck, the value will go away. So I have done this way because when we want to get the values from the inputs, how we can do that? If we did the previous way, in the previous manner. So let me create one more function to get the values. So make a function called const get output values, like this. Inside it will be, we will get a value here, or maybe an event. Yes, make it an event. Pass this function to this output component. Let me get it here from the props. Now when this change, this function will run. Simple. Let me now destructure the value and the name. So say name comma value equals to use sorry, not use state, event dot target. Save this. Now whenever we type in the inputs, the output will be inside this, but console it as well. So say value, or maybe we have to make it a key value pair. So make a key which will be name, and then we will have the value. Save this. Now let's try. Let me type the name as Nishant. So text input will be have Nishant in here. We'll have Nishant. Type number, and the number input will have the number, like this. But the thing is, it's okay. Let me check for the color input. Select a color. Say this, and the color input will have the color. Yes, it's working. Now we have to set this in a array or in an array. So let me create an array here called say output states or output state. Set output state equals to use state. Make it an array. We'll just have to set it inside. So we can set this inside like this, but we have to make sure that this is an array, and we also have to make the previous value here, which is output state, like this. Now if we console this here, let's see what we are getting. Refresh the page. So it's an empty array. Let me check text input and number input. Let me type my name here, Nishant. Okay, that's the problem we have here. It comes like this. So basically I don't think we need an array, we need an object here. Yes, correct. So make this as an object, not an array or an array. So here we have to change as well. This will be called as an array bracket, and here as well. So in this case we don't need this and this. One sec, let me just remove this and set it like this. Okay, now we have this name and value, correct. Save this. Maybe we need to add the output values as well and restructure it. Now let's check that what we are getting. Click text input, number input. Let me type my name here called Nishant, and second one will have 26. Yes, it's working. Also let me add the color input here and add the color like this, red, and the color will be here. Now we can create one button. So let me create it here, a button. Outside this map function. So button, let's say send. Now let's add a function, send the value somewhere, maybe a API or a database. So say send values and copy this. Let me pass it here. Let me come over here and then destructure it. And when the button is clicked, we can simply run the function. So on click the send values, and in this we have to console.log the the state name called output state. What happened? This output state. We can type the name called, let's say, Nishant, a number 26, and some color. Say this. Now click send. The data will be here like this, and that's how we create the custom input checking. I mean, when we check an input checkbox, this should appear here. When we check it, this should disappear from here, and we can manipulate this. So basically the custom form in React. Okay.